Welcome to History Explained, where we illuminate the past to better understand our present. I'm your guide to your daily journey through the past to empower the future. Today is Thursday, June 12, 2025. As we do every Thursday, we're exploring a fascinating cultural practice that has shaped civilizations and continues to influence our world today. Today, we turn our attention to Islamic architecture, one of humanity's most distinctive and influential architectural traditions. From the earliest mosques of the 7th century to contemporary Islamic-inspired buildings, this architectural style has created some of the world's most breathtaking structures while embodying deep spiritual, cultural, and artistic values that transcend religious boundaries. What makes Islamic architecture particularly remarkable is how it developed a unified aesthetic language that could adapt to diverse climates, cultures, and local building traditions across 3 continents. From Spain's Alhambra to India's Taj Mahal, from Istanbul's Blue Mosque to modern Dubai's skyline, Islamic architectural principles have created spaces that inspire both worshippers and admirers of beauty. So let's explore this magnificent architectural tradition, examining its origins in early Islamic civilization, its core design principles and symbolic meanings, its regional variations across different cultures, and its continuing influence on contemporary architecture and design. Islamic architecture emerged in the 7th century alongside the rapid expansion of Islamic civilization from the Arabian Peninsula. Unlike Christianity or Buddhism, Islam did not inherit established architectural traditions from earlier religious practices, requiring Muslim communities to develop new forms of sacred space that reflected Islamic values and worship practices. The earliest Islamic architecture drew inspiration from the simple, functional approach of the Prophet Muhammad's house in Medina, which served as both residence and place of worship. This modest structure featured a courtyard surrounded by covered areas, establishing the basic pattern of Islamic religious architecture that emphasized community gathering, simplicity, and connection between indoor and outdoor spaces. As Muslim armies conquered vast territories spanning from Spain to Central Asia, Islamic architecture encountered and absorbed diverse local building traditions. Byzantine domes, Persian arches, Roman columns, and local decorative motifs were all incorporated into an emerging Islamic architectural vocabulary, creating a unique synthesis that transcended regional boundaries while respecting local conditions. The fundamental principles of Islamic architecture reflect core Islamic values and religious requirements. The prohibition against representational art in religious contexts led to the development of sophisticated geometric patterns, calligraphy, and abstract designs that became hallmarks of Islamic decoration. These patterns often conveyed spiritual concepts about divine unity, infinity, and the underlying mathematical order of creation. The mihrab, a niche indicating the direction of Mecca, became a focal point for architectural innovation, often featuring the most elaborate decoration and craftsmanship in a mosque. The minaret, originally a simple elevated platform for the call to prayer, evolved into soaring towers that became symbols of Islamic presence and architectural achievement. Geometric patterns in Islamic architecture serve both aesthetic and spiritual purposes. The complex mathematical relationships underlying these designs were seen as reflecting divine perfection and the hidden order of the universe. Craftsmen developed increasingly sophisticated pattern systems that could be extended infinitely, symbolizing the boundless nature of divine creation. Calligraphy, as the art of beautiful writing, held special significance in Islamic culture as the means of preserving and displaying God's revealed word. Quranic verses, religious phrases, and poetry were integrated into architectural decoration, transforming buildings into 3-dimensional manuscripts that communicated spiritual messages to both literate and illiterate viewers. The use of light in Islamic architecture reflects theological concepts about divine illumination and guidance. Architects developed sophisticated techniques for filtering and directing natural light through screens, colored glass, and carefully positioned openings, creating interior spaces that seemed to glow with spiritual presence. Water features became integral elements of Islamic architecture, serving practical, aesthetic, and symbolic functions. Fountains, reflecting pools and channels provided cooling in hot climates while representing paradise's rivers described in Islamic texts. The sound and movement of water created sensory experiences that enhanced the spiritual atmosphere of religious and secular spaces. Regional variations in Islamic architecture demonstrate the tradition's remarkable adaptability to different climates, cultures, and available materials. In the Iberian Peninsula, the Umayyad Caliphate developed a distinctive style featuring horseshoe arches, intricate tilework, and elaborate muqarnas, stalactite-like ceiling decorations, that reached its pinnacle in Granada's Alhambra. The Maghreb and North Africa developed their own architectural characteristics, including the use of colorful zellige tilework, carved stucco, and cedarwood, creating buildings that reflected both Islamic principles and Berber craftsmanship traditions. The great mosques of Fez, Córdoba, and Kairouan exemplify this synthesis of influences. In Egypt and the Eastern Mediterranean, Mamluk architecture combined Islamic design principles with local stone carving traditions, creating buildings with powerful geometric facades and soaring minarets. The complex of Sultan Hassan in Cairo represents one of the masterpieces of this tradition, demonstrating how Islamic architecture could create spaces of monumental grandeur while maintaining human scale. Persian Islamic architecture developed its own distinctive characteristics, particularly the use of brilliant blue and turquoise tilework, bulbous domes, and 4 Iwan courtyard layouts. The Friday Mosque of Isfahan and the shrine complexes of Mashhad showcase the Persian contribution to Islamic architectural development. The Ottoman Empire created perhaps the most unified Islamic architectural style, centered on the great domed mosques of Istanbul. Architect Mimar Sinan perfected a system of cascading domes and semi-domes that created vast, unified interior spaces while achieving perfect structural balance. The Sulaymaniye Mosque represents the culmination of Ottoman architectural achievement. Mughal architecture in India represents one of Islamic architecture's most creative syntheses, combining Islamic design principles with Hindu and Persian influences. The Taj Mahal, built as a tomb for Shah Jahan's wife Mumtaz Mahal, demonstrates how Islamic architecture could express both spiritual devotion and human love through perfect proportional relationships and exquisite decorative detail. The madrasas, or Islamic schools, developed their own architectural typology that balanced educational and residential functions while creating spaces conducive to learning and contemplation. These institutions often featured courtyard layouts with surrounding cells for students and teachers, libraries, and prayer halls, establishing architectural models that influenced educational building design beyond the Islamic world. Islamic residential architecture developed sophisticated approaches to privacy, climate control, and family life that reflected Islamic social values. The traditional Islamic house, with its inward-facing courtyard, separate areas for family and guests, and emphasis on privacy from the street, created living environments that supported Islamic family structures while providing comfort in various climates. The hammam, or Islamic bathhouse, represents another distinctive building type that served important social and hygienic functions. These structures required sophisticated engineering for heating and water circulation while creating spaces for social interaction and relaxation that were central to Islamic urban life. Islamic garden design, though not strictly architectural, created outdoor spaces that complemented built environments and expressed Islamic concepts of paradise. The Shahar Bagh, or four-garden layout, with its geometric organization around water channels, influenced garden design traditions that extended far beyond Islamic cultures. The Alhambra in Granada stands as perhaps the most perfect expression of Islamic architectural principles, combining all elements of the tradition into a unified masterpiece. Its courtyards, halls, and gardens create a sequential experience that moves from public to private, from earthly to spiritual, demonstrating how Islamic architecture could create environments that engage all the senses while conveying profound cultural meanings. During the colonial period, Islamic architecture faced challenges from European architectural influences and changing political circumstances. However, the tradition also demonstrated remarkable resilience, adapting to new materials and construction techniques while maintaining its essential character and symbolic content. The 20th century saw renewed interest in Islamic architectural heritage as Muslim nations gained independence and sought to express their cultural identity through architecture. This revival movement combined traditional Islamic design principles with modern construction techniques and contemporary building programs, creating new interpretations of Islamic architectural heritage. Contemporary Islamic architecture continues to evolve, addressing modern needs while drawing inspiration from traditional principles. Architects like Hassan Fatih in Egypt, André Paccard in Morocco, and more recently, architects working on projects like the Islamic Museum in Doha, have demonstrated how Islamic architectural principles can create meaningful contemporary buildings. The influence of Islamic architecture extends far beyond Muslim communities and countries. European architecture absorbed Islamic influences during the medieval period through trade and conquest, while the 19th century Orientalist movement brought Islamic decorative motifs into Western architectural vocabulary. Modern architects like Louis Kahn, who designed the National Assembly building in Bangladesh, have drawn inspiration from Islamic spatial concepts and use of light, while contemporary sustainable architecture has rediscovered Islamic techniques for climate control and environmental adaptation. The study of Islamic architecture has also contributed to broader understanding of how architecture can express cultural values and create meaningful environments. The tradition's emphasis on geometry, proportion, and symbolic content has influenced architectural theory and design education worldwide. Today, as global architecture sometimes struggles with questions of cultural identity and environmental sustainability, Islamic architecture offers valuable lessons about creating buildings that serve both practical and spiritual needs while adapting to local conditions and expressing cultural values. The preservation of Islamic architectural heritage faces ongoing challenges from urban development, natural disasters, and political conflicts. Efforts to document, preserve, and restore Islamic monuments have become international priorities, recognizing these buildings as part of humanity's shared cultural heritage. Islamic architecture represents one of humanity's great architectural achievements, creating a visual language that has inspired builders and artists for over 13 centuries. Its emphasis on geometric harmony, spiritual symbolism, and adaptation to local conditions offers timeless lessons about how architecture can serve both practical and transcendent human needs. The tradition's continuing vitality demonstrates that historical architectural principles can remain relevant and inspiring in contemporary contexts, providing guidance for creating buildings that honor cultural heritage while addressing modern challenges and opportunities. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of Islamic architecture and its enduring influence on world culture. Tomorrow, we'll be back with our Economic Milestones episode, where we'll be examining the establishment of the World Trade Organization and its role in shaping modern global commerce. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. What aspects of Islamic architecture do you find most inspiring, and how do you see its principles influencing contemporary design? Let us know in the comments section below. For our members, this Sunday we'll have a special roundup of cultural developments from the past week with connections to the architectural and artistic traditions we've been exploring. Until next time, I'm your guide for History Explained, where we believe that understanding yesterday is the key to navigating tomorrow.